checking pad. Visit bankofamerica.com/more rewarding to apply now. Copyright 2020 Bank of America Corporation.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Your smart speakers rock when it comes to streaming us. Just say, play 96.9 The Game on iHeartRadio. Radio. FM 96.9 The Game.
The home of the Knights. WYGM Orlando. WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach, Orlando.
Time to put the pedal to the floor. It's loud and live and local. Oh, time for open mic.
Is it over yet? Is the Daytona 500 over yet? Oh, it's over? Wow. We are loud, live, and local this Monday morning right here on Open Mic, FM 96.9 The Game, AM 740, HD 101.1-2. You can listen to us. You can watch us on social media as well, Twitch, Twitter. You can watch us on the YouTube machine. Just go to YouTube. Search for the Open Mic live stream. You can watch our show. Welcome to Open Mic. I am the sleepless Mike Bianchi, the Bulldog. I was there for the Daytona 500. 5.5 hour delayed Daytona 500 yesterday. We're going to get into that story. As always, I'm joined by Adam Reardon, the Deceptive Intellect, and, of course, Austin Pastolka, who I know was up at 12:15 last night, the Sultan of Sound, watching the Daytona 500.
No, Mike! You know what I was doing? I was fast asleep, cuddled up right next to my Valentine, all right? I was having a nice sleep, a nice little dream. Thinking about how great today's show was going to be. And then I found out, oh, wait, Mike hasn't slept all day, so he's going to be dragging ass. And, oh, goodness, have we had a morning.
Mike's smart enough to know not to ask me if I watched.
I almost called in sick. What'd you say?
I said Mike was smart enough to know whether or not I was up late watching the Daytona 500.
It could have been on time, and you wouldn't have been watching it.
It could have been happening out front of my home. the Heathrow 500 underway right now. Like, what is all that noise?
They'd have to put your head in a vice and point it toward the TV for you to watch it.
Being in the tape going up over the eyes.
Yeah, it's like, okay, all right. Can you race one lap? Why do you got to do like 200 laps? I don't understand.
Oh, wow. All right, we want to hear from you as the show progresses. We have some big news. UCF may have a new head football coach. At least they've made the offer, but has Gus Malzahn accepted the offer? We're going to get into that story. What would you think, UCF fans, if Gus Malzahn is your new head football coach? We will get to that story. You can give us a call, 407-916-8255. You can tweet us at 96.9 The Game. You can also text us on our Academy Sports and Outdoors text line. That's 50857. Your first chance at $1,000. We do it twice a day, 7:10 a.m., 8:10 a.m. Be listening. First chance, 7:10 a.m. this morning. You can win $1,000 right here on Open Mic. We begin each Open Mic with the Open Mic early morning inspirational quote of the day. This comes from the great Steve Jobs, who once said, and I quote, "If you look really closely, most overnight successes took a long time," end quote.
That means, listen, everybody hears about the one-hit wonders or these overnights. Like, how these guys just do this? I mean, they got so lucky. They're an overnight success. They went from nothing to something. Well, within that nothing, or what came before that something, was a lot of hard work, a lot of time, a lot of effort put in,
a lot of trial and error,
a lot of dedication. Yeah, somebody who's discovered one night, singing at a karaoke bar, and somebody from Sony Music just happened to be there, and they become an overnight success. Well, you don't realize that person took singing lessons all through their childhood. They tried out multiple times for television shows or whatnot. You just see the end product, which is, hey, look at this great story. We just happened to find this girl, like she had never done anything before. But if you look beyond that, there was a lot of hard work and dedication put into being the overnight success.
Yeah. In fact, that quote sort of pertains to the Daytona 500 champion last night, or should I say early this morning. Michael McDowell watched Team Penske teammates Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano wreck each other on the final lap. They ended up, again, they were 1-2. They wreck, and boom, the shocking surprise winner who was on the bumper of Brad Keselowski, Michael McDowell, waits for his chance. Boom, he wins the rain-delayed Daytona 500 early this morning. Here's what it sounded like.
Drivers, start your engines. Let's go. You! That.
Corvette pace car makes the turn to pit road, and here they come. Green flag, the 63rd Daytona 500 is underway. Oh, no. Almirola Bowman.
Oh, the 24's on his side. Remember what I said, Clint, about 21 cars? I don't know if we got there, but man, that took out a lot of race cars and a lot of great race cars in there.
I know Eric Almirola was one of the front ones up front, so anytime that happens up front, you're going to take out a lot of them.
Will Dillon have help? No, they come down to block. Logano goes back up. Keselowski with him. McDowell in tow. Dillon on the bottom.
The run's on top. Oh, teammates.
Around they go in a hard crash. Kyle Busch.
Larson.
Caution is out.
Bubba Wallace is in this. Austin Cindric, hard hit by Kyle Busch. Caution's out.
McDowell is first to the line, but will have to go back to the moment of caution, which ends the race.
I think McDowell's the winner of this race, guys.
He was first across the line.
There you have it, Michael McDowell. You heard my boy Eric Almirola. He went out early. Big crash early in the race. 16 cars were damaged in that car. Eric Almirola among those. But again, the end of that race, Joey Logano was the leader. He had Brad Keselowski, his teammate, on his tail. Michael McDowell was on Keselowski's tail on the final lap. Keselowski attempts to sort of dart around Logano, but Logano throws the block on his teammate, crashes them both, and Michael McDowell stayed right where he was, pedaled to the metal, and drove through the crash scene. It was a stunning upset. What an underdog story. Michael McDowell, been racing in Cup cars for 14 years, not won anything. 358 Cup starts, never won a race. But as Adam Reardon said, the overnight sensation wins the Daytona 500 last night. Wow. Not exactly the storyline NASCAR was hoping for. Remember on Friday, we were going through all the great storylines, the potential winners, and we were talking about Denny Hamlin getting his three-peat, Kyle Busch finally winning the Daytona 500, Bubba Wallace winning in Michael Jordan's car, Ryan Newman winning 1 year after that death-defying crash. We could have had 25 choices, and Michael McDowell wouldn't have been among them. 25 choices. I mean, it's just unbelievable that he's waited this long to win a race, and his first race is the Daytona 500. Wow.
It's funny because last night when I got home, I did on my phone. I went to ESPN, I tried to see if the race was over or who had won, and I looked at the running order, and you know who was in dead last place?
Who?
With Derek Cope.
Yeah, Derek. He was 62 years old.
No, but I only bring him up because if you remember, he's racing in the Daytona 500. He won the Daytona 500 when Dale Earnhardt ran out of gas or blew a tire or something like that.
Yeah.
And just wrong guy in the right place at the right time. Because Derek Cope, I don't even know if he ever won another race after that, before that, anything.
I don't think he did. And that's what can happen in the Daytona 500. Again, the Daytona 500. You can have. Hell, Danica Patrick almost. She was in contention.
Is the Daytona 500 like the Masters? Like if you win once, you get to drive for as long as you want in that turn. How does Derek Cope have a ride? He must have his own team or something. Who's paying Derek Cope to be their driver?
Because they need so many entries and it costs so much money to get in. I guess if you have enough money and you have a race team, I guess you can get in by invitation.
Hold on. Can we get an open mic car in? One of us will be the driver.
Yeah,
you want to drive the driver.
Why would you be the driver? You don't even like NASCAR.
I don't like NASCAR, but I'm a great driver, especially at high speeds and then in and out of traffic. Oh yeah, no, I'm fantastic. You grew up driving the streets of Lincoln, Nebraska.
Absolutely.
I grew up driving the streets of Tampa and I-4 in Orlando.
Listen, I'm a road course aficionado. Yeah. Give me dirt or give me nothing.
I was going to say, dirt track's your thing. There's no question. All those dirt roads out there in Nebraska, sure. I'm talking about on the asphalt.
Dirt roads are my thing, too. I grew up in Interlaken, right?
Give me the asphalt.
By the way, NASCAR's got to do something about. I mean, again, you're having a race that starts at 3 in the afternoon and ends after midnight. Last year's Daytona 500 that got rained out and postponed till Monday. To me, that's NASCAR's biggest issue. I mean, you want to know why NASCAR has lost more popularity than any other sport? Because their biggest event finishes when nobody's watching. It happens too many times in NASCAR. You know what they have to do? They have to do some flexible scheduling. Flexible scheduling, sort of like golf tournaments do when like final rounds of golf tournaments. I remember this happened at the Arnold Palmer a few years ago. They knew it was going to rain in the afternoon, so they just moved the start of the tee times up so they could get it in. NASCAR needs to do that. Everybody knew it was going to rain yesterday afternoon. Everybody. I mean, it was on the radar. The weather is accurate enough now that, again, I realize Fox wants their races starting at a certain time, but wouldn't you rather get it in than have it finish at 12:15 at night with a 5.5-hour delay?
It's tough because isn't Fox going to be the guys that put in the most money? So
yeah, but
you kind of got to listen to the people who are paying you the most.
Okay, but what good does it do Fox to have a 5.5-hour delay? All right.
Apparently, it does enough for them. Apparently, they would do that if it didn't benefit them.
I would assume they can meet their obligations to the advertisers who buy time at that time for a NASCAR broadcast, and as long as they're on the air and they're like, oh, go to commercial break, and here comes Goodyear tires or something like that. Then what NASCAR needs to do is get with Goodyear, Bridgestone, any tire manufacturer on the face of this planet and say, listen, if you're the first person or first business to come to us with tires that we can use, that when it rains, we can keep running like they do in Formula One.
Well, like they can do that on the road courses. They just can't do it on the super speedways with the banking.
We got to get Toyo tires on get the research and development teams on board.
Yeah, they have to do something. I'm serious. They have to do something because again, there's nobody in the stands last night. There's nobody watching on TV. I'm sure at 12:15 in the morning. So I don't know how that benefits Fox. I mean, if they raced early and then replayed it back at the normal time, that would even be better, I would think, for Fox. All right, straight ahead, does UCF have a new head coach? And are Knight fans ready to get on the bus with Gus? That's next on Open Mic.
This is Markel Folk.
UCF has offered Gus Malzahn its head football coaching job. The Orlando Sentinel confirmed last night. The story was originally reported by 247 Sports' Jason Bede, all right? So Gus Malzahn, we don't know, and it's unclear whether Gus Malzahn has accepted that offer. However, but evidently Terry Mohajir, UCF's new AD, who knew Malzahn when Malzahn was the head coach at Arkansas State, when Mohajir was the AD at Arkansas State. Now, Mohajir did not hire Gus Malzahn at Arkansas State. He was hired by the previous AD. The previous AD leaves. Terry Mohajir takes over. Gus Malzahn's the coach for one season at Arkansas State, while Terry Mohajir is the AD, and then Gus Malzahn is off to take the Auburn job. So he is familiar. Obviously, Terry Mohajir from Arkansas. Gus Malzahn is a legend in Arkansas. He was a legendary high school coach there. Arkansas offered him their head coaching job at one point, but he took the Auburn job instead. And again, I don't know if he's going to take the head coaching job. I've been told, by the way, that Terry Mohajir has interviewed 5 people for this job, and they're all offensive guys. Jeff Lebby, who seems to be the fan favorite, he's the offensive coordinator at Ole Miss. Gus Malzahn, North Carolina's offensive coordinator Phil Longo, Kent State head coach Sean Lewis, and not sure about the fifth one. So, again, it looks like we all thought it was going to be an offensive coach, and Terry Mohajir has a reputation for hiring offensive coaches. But Gus Malzahn, I mean, good Lord, the guy won he won a national title as the offensive coordinator at Auburn when Cam Newton was the quarterback and Gene Chizik was the coach. Then he takes the Auburn head coaching job. I think it was 3 years later, immediately leads Auburn to an appearance in the BCS National Championship game. That was in 2013. They lost to Florida State, the great Florida State team, with Jameis Winston as the quarterback. Barely lost that game, 34-31, in a terrific game in the Rose Bowl. And again, he was successful at Auburn and should, in my opinion, should not have been fired. He was fired this past year, even though Auburn was third in the West. They had a 6-4 record. I'm looking at Gus Malzahn's record right now. Overall record at Auburn, Gus Malzahn was 39-27 in the SEC, 68-35 overall. So he was 39-27 in the SEC West. All right. We all know how tough the SEC West is, and he was a respectable 3-5 against the Sabinator. All right, not many coaches have that good a record against the Sabinator. What do you think about Gus Malzahn? What do you guys think?
Gus Malzahn would be of the ilk, I believe. All the guys you mentioned, the most likely to make this his final destination job. Went through the...
Besides Gene Chizik.
Of the guys you mentioned that were interviewed for the job.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Of the guys that actually have a chance at the job, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
The most likely. Everybody else you mentioned, either, I believe, a young coach or career assistant coaches that would probably use this as the springboard. So I guess it comes down to the question that we asked, maybe was it a couple weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want? You want a young guy that's going to 3 years from now look for a bigger, better job? Or do you want a guy that's probably, if he has success here, is going to stay for 7 to 10 years?
Although Gus Malzahn, again, he's 50. If Gus Malzahn were to, like he did at Arkansas State, he had one good year at Arkansas State and he was out. Of course, that was for the Auburn offer, and who's not going to leave Arkansas State for Auburn. But if he were to go unbeaten at UCF next year, he's right back in the hopper.
I mean, you're saying if he goes unbeaten. I'm talking about, listen, okay, you win 8, 9, the first couple of few years. And again, this is a guy that's been through the SEC. He's got, I don't know what his contract looked like when they let him go. But
$21 million he got.
So he's sitting on $21 million. He's already had
$21 million
guaranteed. Yeah. What's he going to do? Take a job getting back in the SEC West? If Mississippi State opens up or something like that. I mean, he's the most likely. I'm not saying it's a definite. All the other guys you mentioned, you have to be pretty assured, or at least know that, look, if you get the right guy for the job, then you're going to have to look for another right guy very quickly. And so if that's the mindset you want to go with, if you're willing to admit that UCF would then be a springboard job, which it has been for the last two head coaches who are younger assistant coaches that finally got a crack at it, then fine. But if you want a coach, I believe it's going to stick around or would stick around or is most likely to stick around than all the other guys you mentioned, this would be it.
All right, we want to know what you think. We're going to get to our thought-provoking daily poll question. If it is Gus Malzahn, and again, we don't know that it's going to be Gus Malzahn. We know he's been offered the job. But if it is Gus Malzahn, how would you rate that hire? We'll get to that next on Open Mic.
Open Mic. We'll be back in a couple.
We were just talking. Gus Malzahn has been offered the head coaching job at UCF. Austin was saying during the break, you don't usually hear about when coaches are offered jobs. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, you do. I mean, I don't know if it was ever reported that Chip Kelly was offered the job at Florida, but actually, I think it was reported.
Well, yeah, to some people.
Yeah, Chip Kelly. I think he was offered the job at Florida. I just think he.
Even more so, I guess I always think about, like, what's the cliche that we always hear from ADs is, we got the guy that we wanted. We offered the job to one guy, and one guy accepted it. We hear that all the time.
That's
I was going to say, to Austin's point, if Malzahn doesn't take the job and some other guy gets it, Jeff Lebby gets it, takes it.
Mm-hmm.
What we will hear is what Austin's saying is, this was the only guy we offered the contract to.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like Danny White said that when he brought Josh Heupel, and there were rumblings that he talked to James Franklin and some other people didn't want the job, so he said, "Oh, Josh Heupel then." Florida, Chip Kelly and Scott Frost, and then Dan Mullen gets the job.
ADs must say this. This is what they must say. Hey, the job's yours if you want it.
Right.
Or something like that. Not like, hey, I'm offering you the job. I mean, would you be interested in this job?
They go, what would you say if I said, here's the job?
Yeah,
I would say no. Oh, weird. Okay, well, good thing I didn't say that then.
Or they could just lie about it.
They would never, Mike.
Mike,
they would never.
Of college athletics. Are you kidding me?
Or they could offer. Terry Mohajir could offer Gus Malzahn the job, and Gus Malzahn could say no, and then Terry Mohajir ends up hiring Jeff Lebby and said, "Yep, Jeff Lebby's the only guy I ever offered it to." You could just lie.
We got our number one guy.
Right? Like, that would be a shock that a college football administrator or coach would lie to the public. Oh, my God.
Mike, it falls directly in line with Mark Daniels' feelings on recruiting, like when the coach shows up at the press conference after National Signing Day. Yeah, to get all the guys I wanted, I got these guys. We're going to have to do what we got to do with them. The AD never stands up at the press conference. Let me introduce you to a guy that accepted this job after 7 other dudes turned to sound.
Yeah. By the way, I'm on social media last night as I'm waiting for the race to start, and the UCF Twitter mafia, they call them. They're absolutely ripping like the Gus Malzahn, if he is in fact hired.
Really?
I don't get it.
No.
I really don't get UCF fans. To me, Gus Malzahn would be a tremendous hire. I mean, you want an offensive guy? Gus Malzahn wrote the book on the no huddle offense. Gus Malzahn's one of the original choreographers of this offense. And again, his offense at Auburn wasn't very good last year, but it's because his quarterback's a dud. Bo Nix turned out to be a flop. But what do you want if you're UCF? You've got a guy who won a national title as an offensive coordinator. He took his team as a head coach to another national title game. Can UCF really expect better? Do they expect better than Gus Malzahn? Because again, I think this would be a tremendous get for UCF if they could get Gus Malzahn.
Do you remember the old game show, Let's Make a Deal?
Oh yeah, Monty Hall.
Yeah, Monty Hall. Yeah. So here's the situation right now. If it's Gus Malzahn, UCF Twitter mafia, they come out there and say, "Here's your prize right now," and it's a $2,000 watch. Okay, it's a nice watch. I mean, it's a watch that looks good. You know what I mean? You know what you're going to get out of it. It's durable. It has some character to it. But UCF, mafia Twitter, they always want what's behind door number 1 instead, because it could be a brand new car. Okay, it could be a $25,000 new pickup truck or whatever it is that they're. It's a good watch.
It could be an elephant dressed in
a zoink, or whatever they call it, a zonk or something like that. But I think that the mentality is, I want the biggest and best thing I can get. And Gus Malzahn is a really nice watch. That's a great watch. But I want to roll the dice on what's behind door number 2, please. In Jeff Lebby
Jeff Lebby's the new car?
It has potential to be the new car. Because you don't know what he is right now as a head coach. He's still behind door number 2. He could turn out to be a brand new car.
Gus Malzahn can be a new car. Gus Malzahn has been a new car.
I mean, Gus Malzahn is a new car. To
no,
me
the problem is that he's not a new car because you think you know what you have in him. Gus Malzahn is, hey, if instead of giving them the watch, they said, hey, here's a 2013 or 2015 Cadillac Escalade, good car, still under warranty. But people want a brand new car. They want a brand new car. They don't want something that feels used, I guess.
What if the brand new car turns out to be, hey, you've got a 2021 Yugo? Okay, what if it turns out to be a Yugo?
I think it's sort of like, in a way, when somebody gets fired, right? It's like almost like a little taint to them, you know what I mean? Like they're tainted a little bit. Sort of like a girl comes out of a bad breakup. You got to ask some questions like, wait a minute, why did this guy break up with her? Huh? What's wrong with her?
But he got fired at Auburn. I'm
not saying it makes sense. I'm just trying to make sense of it.
I do not get UCF fans at all. You want to talk about how if I'm UCF fans, I would be raving about this hire and hoping Gus Malzahn takes the job. In fact, if I were Gus Malzahn, I don't know if I would take this job. He just got $21 million from Auburn. He could do TV for a year and probably get a Power 5 offer next year, right?
Yeah, I mean, potentially. I think that's potentially. I think the decision for Gus Malzahn would come down to if that's in fact what he wants to do. Again, of the guys that we mentioned for this job, he's the only guy that really has experience as a head coach, which to me is a plus. By the way, that's a plus. You don't have to go through those growing pains of having to manage and understand all the things that a head coach has to go through. He's the most likely of the guys to say, listen, I've been through the wars of the SEC. I've been there, done that, won a national championship as an assistant. I've competed for a national championship as a head coach. I've done all that. I've been to the mountaintop. Let me enjoy this back half of my coaching life. At maybe a little smaller venue. Listen, being at a smaller school now is not like it was 15 to 20 years ago where they couldn't pay you $1 million. Even the UCFs are paying $2 million. I don't know what they.
Gus Malzahn is he's one of the premier play callers in recent college football history. I mean, the guy is a hell of a play caller, and again. Has Jeff Lebby never called plays at UCF? That was Josh Heupel. And now he's working for Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. And again, Jeff Lebby may turn out to be a great, great play caller. But he's worked for offense. He worked for Art Briles at Baylor, his father-in-law. He's worked for Josh Heupel, the play caller. And now he's working for Lane Kiffin, who might not be the play caller, but I'll guarantee you Lane Kiffin has a lot of input on that offense at Ole Miss. Gus Malzahn has called plays, and he's called plays at the highest level. All right, our thought-provoking daily poll. If former Auburn coach Gus Malzahn accepts the offer to be the next coach at UCF, how would you rate the hire? I think Austin has 4 choices here. Tremendous, good, okay, terrible. I'm going tremendous. Where do you guys go?
I would say good. I would say it's a good hire at UCF, and especially if he decides to stick around. If he sticks around and has success, then it turns into a tremendous hire.
Am I allowed to hold off on my vote until his first season's over?
Incomplete.
He's incomplete. That's right. Giving it the big old eye right now. We'll find out. He still has to accept the offer, Mike.
Yeah, everybody's incomplete right now. So. All right, straight ahead. Go vote, by the way, at 96.9 The Game on Twitter, at 96.9 The Game. We have a bunch of polls up. Game balls and goop balls coming your way next, and Urban Meyer deserves maybe the most humongous goofball we've ever given on this show. We'll talk about that next on Open Mic.
96.9 The Game FM. while others flopped.
We got flops all over the place.
It's time for Game Balls and Goofballs on Open Mic.
Welcome back to Open Mic. I'm Mike Bianchi, the Bulldog sports columnist of the Orlando Sentinel. Going on no sleep after covering the 5.5-hour rain-delayed Daytona 500 last night. Adam Reardon, the deceptive intellect, he's in as well. Austin Pastolka, the Sultan of Sound. Your next chance at $1,000, that's coming. Actually, your first chance, I should say, at $1,000 coming up at 7:10 a.m. this morning. Hold on one second while I share Adam Reardon's Facebook post of our show.
You know what also is coming up later in the show? A chance to win some tickets to the Orlando Magic taking on... Oh, I should have looked this up before I went for the plug.
Does it really
It's
matter?
Sunday, February 21st. You want to go to the Amway Center and get yourself a hot dog while the Magic play somebody? Well, guess what? We're giving tickets away to it.
If you, on the way to get the hot dog, fell down the stairs, you'd be less injured than this Magic team.
They played with 8 players last night.
Yep.
8 players. They got buried by the Phoenix Suns, but man, they are just in a bad, bad way. They really are. I feel bad for them. And again, we've talked about Steve Clifford and what he's had to go through, but I just feel bad for him. 8 players. Eight players.
It's like watching when a 1AA opponent comes and plays like Florida for homecoming.
Magic play the Pistons. They play the Pistons on Sunday, brother.
How about because those 1AA teams have like 53 scholarship guys or 50 scholarship guys, and big Division I have 85 guys on scholarship. And you're watching professional basketball. One team's got 12 guys, the other team's got 8.
There were times where the Magic were not playing with a point guard on the floor. They just had a bunch of forwards out there, because what else are they going to do?
Well, thank God Michael Carter-Williams came back from his long injury or stint on the injury.
Did he last more than 5 minutes? The last 2 guys that came back from injury and walked right back off the court.
His first game back, he scored 21. The Magic ended up winning the only game on that West Coast road swing that they won. Vooch, of course, had to score 43 that night for them to win. That was on Saturday night, so they win that game, but then they get buried by the Phoenix Suns last night. I can't even give the Magic a goofball. Again, I can't rip the coach. I can't rip the players. I can't rip the team. I can't give them a goofball because they are what they are.
And they didn't try to do this. They weren't like they weren't trying to tank at the beginning of the season, and everything was high hopes, and then it just seemed like bad luck after bad luck after bad luck.
Yeah. Well, who does deserve a goofball, however, is one Urban Meyer. I mean, we spent how long Friday trying to figure out how in the world could Urban Meyer hire the controversial Iowa strength and conditioning coach Chris Doyle, who had been accused of by dozens of current and former Iowa players, black and white, by the way, of bullying and using racist language toward black players. Well, it didn't take long for the Jaguars to part ways with Doyle after a statement from Rod Graves, the executive director of the Fritz Pollard Alliance. This was Friday afternoon, all right? So the Fritz Pollard Alliance is a watchdog group that sort of champions diversity in the NFL. Well, Rod Graves, again, is the executive director of that group. Well, on Friday, it was about 5:30 in the afternoon, all right? Rod Graves releases a statement calling the hire of Chris Doyle in Jacksonville as, quote, simply unacceptable and a move that reflects the good old boy network in the NFL. It was shortly after Graves' statement. Again, you can go online. It was a rather lengthy statement. But it was shortly after that statement when Meyer and the Jaguars suddenly reversed field and announced they had parted ways with Doyle. Again, this was just a day after they hired him. A day after they hired him. Urban Meyer looks like, not only does he look arrogant for making this hire to begin with, he looks like an arrogant fool now. An arrogant fool. I guess we should have known. And I guess we should have known. Did anybody really believe that going from college coaching to the NFL, that Urban Meyer would somehow change the essence and erase his arrogance and ego and unscrupulousness? Did anybody really think that was going to happen?
No. Hell no, I didn't think it. I don't think anybody thought that.
No, but what I do think that he didn't sort of bank on is no longer being the guy who calls the shots in that little town. When you're in Columbus or when you're in Gainesville, if you're the head football coach, you're the man. You are the man. He doesn't have that sort of I do what I want cachet as a head football coach in the NFL in Jacksonville, okay? Because you get called out for this sort of stuff. Whereas in Gainesville, fans would have your back and say, listen, we could give this guy a chance, whether it's player after player, whether it's assistant coaches that he's had on his roster. In Columbus, the same thing. As long as you're winning football games, they will have your back to a fault.
Yeah, like Pat Dooley's not calling out Urban Meyer when he's winning national championships, okay?
No.
Same. It's the same in Columbus.
Yep.
All right. That's how it is in college towns. And believe me, I've worked as a columnist in a college town. I was, you do have to be a little bit different when you're writing for a college town newspaper than again at the Sentinel. I would take pot shots at Urban Meyer all the time, but it's a little different when you're working in the hometown. And you're right. You are the king. I mean, Jeremy Foley was Urban Meyer's boss on paper.
Sort of.
Yeah, on paper. But again, I realize Urban Meyer is arrogant. I realize he's unscrupulous, but I thought he was smarter than this. I mean, did he really think that this was just going to go by without a blip from either players in the league, the Fritz Pollard alliance, his own ownership? And I blame Shad Khan as well. How does Shad Khan sign off on this? I mean, Shad Khan, the same owner who several months ago after George Floyd's killing came out with this strong statement, anti-racism, and racism is bad, and it was a very eloquently written statement about racism, and then boom, he hires Urban Meyer, and he allows Urban Meyer to hire the most racially charged coach he could possibly hire. How does that happen?
Let me ask you this question, because when Urban he says that the GM and the owner have all signed off on this. When he said that, I said, okay, I heard it. And then seeing the reverse course here, which has happened, is there a chance that Shad Khan has been pretty hands-off? I mean, he's been a hands-off owner. I mean, he's kind of let Tom Coughlin run in the ground, and then he handed the keys to Urban Meyer, and he's like, hire who you want, and maybe put too much trust in Urban Meyer. And maybe Urban Meyer said, we've all sort of approved this hire. Is there a chance that Shad Khan really didn't, and Urban just said that to sort of insulate himself from any criticism for hiring him in that moment? Because if Urban hired him, then Urban would just stick with him, and but I can't.
But you would think. I mean, he's hiring Chris Doyle. You would think he would run that by the owner, right? Or maybe Shad Khan is so, again, Shad Khan's, I don't know how closely he follows college football. Do you think he was oblivious to who Chris Doyle was?
I think Shad Khan basically handed the keys to Urban Meyer and says, listen, hire who you want. Hire who you want. And would probably trust that he wouldn't hire a guy who is facing racial accusations and whatnot. And then when it came out, Shad's like, look, we gotta get rid of this guy. Now I recognize how bad a hire this really was, and maybe I should pay a little bit more attention. Shad's got a lot of stuff going on. He owns a soccer team over in England. He's making money all over the place. The idea that Shad Khan has an office and he's just sitting around in Jacksonville today going, hey, Urban, looking down the hallway, who do you plan on hiring? I don't think that's the case. I don't. He's definitely not Jerry Jones hands on. That's for sure.
No, I know that, but you would think if you're going to make a hire like this, a hire so shocking that you reverse course 24 hours later, you would think that would have been run by at least him or his son or somebody that signed off on it. But remember what Urban Meyer said when one of the reporters asked him about, did you really check this guy out? Remember what he said? Do we have that clip?
Yeah, here you go. I was going to use it for sound off next segment.
I'll use it right now.
All right, we're going to use it right now.
I've known Chris for close to 20 years. Our relationship goes back to when I was at Utah, and he was the #1 strength coach. And really, he was doing sports performance before sports performance became a high priority. And I've known him. I've studied him. I vetted him thoroughly, along with our general manager and owner. Feel great about the hire, about his expertise at that position. So we vetted him thoroughly.
I've vetted him.
This is the best part.
Yeah, they're very confident.
Very confident.
Very confident there won't be any issues going forward. 2 hours later.
And guess what? There aren't going to be any issues now.
Yeah, 24 hours later, there were issues, okay? 24 hours later. Let's pause for station identification.
WYGM Orlando, WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach, FM 96.9 The Game, the home of Orlando City Soccer Club.
Again, last thing on Urban Meyer. To me, this just shows how tone deaf the guy, racially tone deaf, ethically tone deaf. By the way, do you remember when he first became the coach of this is how tone deaf this guy is, all right? Remember when he first became the coach of the Gators, and he would send injured players to the pit? Do you remember this story?
Yes. Oh, God, yes.
He would send injured players to the pit, all right? And the pit was a place where they would carry these huge rocks up and down the stadium stairs with giant chains wrapped around their shoulder pads. And you want to talk about bad racial imagery right there? When that got out, boom, suddenly that stopped, all right? I'm sure Jeremy Foley said, you can't have players dressed in chains carrying rocks up stadium steps. And just unbelievable that Urban, and then this happens in the middle of a Black Lives Matter movement sweeping the country and player empowerment sweeping the country. And what's he do? He hires the most racially charged assistant coach you can imagine. Again, foolish, and arrogant Urban Meyer. We already paused for station identification.
Yes, we did.
Right?
We're good.
All right, who do we have on line one?
We got Mark on line one. He wants to talk about the Gus Malzahn possibilities.
Let's go, Mark. What do you got?
So, good morning, Mike. Hey, listen, I don't understand what UCF's problem is with Gus Malzahn. I don't. I
don't either.
He won two SEC West titles. He won an SEC title, 2013 Coach of the Year from like 10 different organizations. He averages 8 to 9 wins a year. What's the problem?
I think Gus Malzahn, if UCF is lucky enough for him to accept the job, I think he would be a tremendous hire for UCF.
I 100% agree because he's already 53 years old. It's not like he's going to use this job to go far else. He's already been at the mountaintop, so I don't understand. It really makes no sense to me why UCF would jump on him. I thought Auburn fired him too early. He went 6-4 and they fired him.
I did too. He's 6-4 during a pandemic. Yeah, I didn't understand that either. Appreciate the call though. Appreciate the call.
One of the other things that Gus Malzahn's been able to do when at Auburn is recruit the state of Florida pretty well. I remember now they had a quarterback that transferred out, and Joey Gatewood, who was a big time kid from Jacksonville. Anthony Schwartz, the wide receiver, he's from down there in the Miami area. So, and again, recruiting to the SEC sort of has its own draw and appeal to it. But give him some credit for coming into the state and getting guys away from the University of Miami, the University of Florida, Florida State as well when he was at Auburn.
Plus, he could keep Randy Shannon as a defensive coordinator and keep that recruiting tie-in as well. All right, let's do a little front page of the internet.
What you reading there, honey?
It's very exciting stuff, you see. It's the front page of the internet.
Here we go with the front page of the internet this morning. We start off on YouTube's trending page where, of course, there are a lot of videos about people doing special things for their significant other for Valentine's Day. But guess what? None of them are number one on YouTube's trending page. You know what is? Superheroes!
Oh, God.
HBO Max has put out the official trailer for Zack Snyder's Justice League, which Justice League was a massive flop when it came to superhero movies. But this is the Zack Snyder version, which a lot of people are very excited for. What?
Oh, I know. This is what I've been waiting for, the Zack Snyder version.
Absolutely.
Mike, you know who's not going to watch this movie?
Me.
Just us.
Wow. Justice.
Nice.
This has 8.4 million views, and it's being reported that this could be a 4-hour movie.
Oh, come on.
Oh, God.
I don't even know if I've got that in me.
No.
I mean, for a movie that was already bad and now I get more of it, I don't know if I'm going to buy into that.
What do they think this is, the Daytona 500?
Nice. Happy birthday today to rapper extraordinaire, tag teamed with Cardi B for the song WAP. It's Megan Thee Stallion, a.k.a. my wife's favorite rapper right now.
She's 27 years old.
I wanted you to go first so I would have an idea. I'm going to go 29.
She is 26 years old today. Trending over on 96.9 The Game right now. You can go check it out on the open mic section. It is the silhouette. Have you guys seen the silhouette challenge?
Yes.
Yeah?
No.
So basically what it is most of the time it's women are dressed in normal clothes and they go into a doorway. They make a movement, and a red silhouette comes over, and they're a little more scantily clad. It's big on TikTok, and lots of people have done this. But you can check out Charles Barkley's version of it over on 96.9thegame.com.
Yeah, if you've ever been curious about Charles Barkley scantily clad, now's your chance.
Now's your chance, ladies and gentlemen. And finally, heading over to Reddit, where this is an interesting one. It's not often that pro wrestling makes its way to the top of the front page of Reddit. This time, it has happened, but not for a good reason. It looks like Chris Jericho's wife was at the Capitol riots. Ooh. So as more and more footage comes out about the Capitol riots, more and more people are being tagged and notified, and apparently Chris Jericho's wife may be one of those people.
Does that mean she's going to get arrested?
It is possible that she will be arrested for this. But
isn't he Canadian?
He is Canadian.
Is she Canadian? Can we deport her? Deport her? Yeah. He's domestic terrorist out of here. Yeah, let's get him out of here.
They live in Tampa, by the way. So
I know they live here.
You guys want a little good news about the COVID cases and everything?
Yeah, numbers going down.
Numbers are going way down. Yesterday, new cases topped at over just over 5,400, which is just drastically down from where we were even a month ago, where on January 9th we topped out at, or January 8th we topped out at just shy of 20,000 new cases. 12% of the United States has taken the first dose of the vaccine, and those numbers are looking better and better as we continue to get more vaccine dosages and they become more available throughout the country. So, a little bit of good news on the COVID front. Things might be looking back to normal by the end of 2021.
Nice.
That's the front page of the internet today.
I want to give a game ball to one of our texters who texted in. The guy from the Doobie Brothers won the Daytona 500.
That's my joke, and I used it earlier today. I told Austin. He told me. I said, "Who won the race?" I didn't even know who won it this morning when I walked in. And he's like, "Michael McDowell." And I go, "Taking it to the streets."
Austin had no idea who Michael McDowell was, did he?
No.
Or Michael McDonald.
Michael McDonald. I mean.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
No idea.
Or Michael McDowell.
Yeah.
The better joke.
The better joke.
There it is.
My better joke was, I just think that this was a setup, a scam. With the Amazon Prime people. Hey, Michael McDowell won the Daytona 500. If you're curious about other McDowells, the Coming to America 2 is out. You can see if the McDowell burger chain is still around. This guy's the least popular McDowell that you'll see all month long. Blackjack McDowell.
Somebody else texted in, how often do we get a chance to hire a guy that has beaten Nick Saban multiple times? Talking about Gus Malzahn, who has a career 3-5 record against the Sabinator. Does anybody have a better record than that against the Sabinator? I wonder.
I don't know. I think that might be a Googleable stat.
Yeah, why don't you Google that? Opposing coaches who have the best record against the Sabinator. All right, straight ahead, it's the Sound Off, which means we are going to hear from all the newsmakers throughout sports over the weekend. But first, we want to give you your chance to win $1,000 right now.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Text
The Sound Off brought to you by the City Edition giveaway. The new Orlando Magic City Edition jersey is out. It's a modern blend of Orlando's roots in orange and the team's classic look with the pinstripes and stars. And we've got your opportunity to win one. You know how you do that? You head to our website, 969thegame.com/city. And with bonus entries available if you follow us on Instagram and Twitter at 969thegame. Austin, what do we have?
Sound off. He's put Winston up under center. No. Throw it. End zone. Shot. Goal. Touchdown. You know who he went for, number 1.
The 2014 national championship game between Florida State and Auburn, where we saw Gus Malzahn crumble against Florida State, we could say, after going up, 21-3, and then eventually falling to Jameis Winston's touchdown pass. What happens if Jameis Winston doesn't get that touchdown pass and Gus Malzahn ends up a national champion? Does he still end up getting offered a job at UCF? Or maybe fans, if that does still happen, maybe fans are a little bit more excited about getting Gus Malzahn here to UCF. What do you think?
Well, again, I don't understand why some in the UCF Twitter mafia aren't excited about the potential of Gus Malzahn accepting the UCF head coaching job. I think it would be a tremendous hire for UCF and their new AD, Terry Mahajer. But if Kelvin Benjamin doesn't catch that last gasp touchdown pass from Jameis Winston in the Rose Bowl to put FSU over Auburn, what was the score of that game? 34-31. Mm-hmm. If Auburn wins that game and wins the national championship, Gus Malzahn's probably still at Auburn. He's probably still at Auburn if he wins that national championship. Now, he won the national championship as an offensive coordinator at Auburn when Gene Chizik was there, but he came up just short when he became the head coach at Auburn. So, yeah, I think everybody would feel differently about Gus Malzahn if he had that one national title on his resume.
Sound off.
I wanted to do this on video as opposed to putting out a statement or doing a press conference or anything like that, because I want you guys to hear it directly from me. I have sat down with the McNair family and I have asked them for my release, and we have mutually agreed to part ways at this time. I'm excited and looking forward to a new opportunity, and I've been working extremely hard, but at the same time, it is always tough to move on. Thank you, Houston. I love you.
That's J.J. Watt over on his Twitter talking about how he asked for his release from the Texans. They gave it to him, unlike Deshaun Watson, who is wanting out of Houston as well. My question for you, Adam, is this is a really awkward situation now for Deshaun Watson, isn't it?
For Deshaun Watson? Why is it awkward for Deshaun Watson? Why? Because he's not getting
what he wants.
What he wants, and they're
they straight up said, all right, we'll let you go.
I don't know his contract versus Deshaun Watson's contract and whether or not, when you release a guy, what kind of cap hit there is. And there's got to be some math, some financial math involved with these two decisions.
Here's the math, all right? Deshaun Watson's worth multiple first-round draft picks. J.J. Watt's not. There's your math.
Hold on one second. You're telling me J.J. Watt is better to be just cut than be worth whatever he could get in a trade? I mean, come on.
I'm saying you're not JJ. You would rather have the JJ Watt cap space than the
stuff you could get for JJ Watt.
Round pick for the fourth round pick you're going to get for JJ Watt. No, JJ Watt's not worth anything on the open market like Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson's worth like 3 first-round draft picks. JJ Watt's not worth 1 third-round draft pick.
I'll say this, that they're not the same situation. So people that are comparing them, it's not really apples to apples in the discussion. What I will say is man, that Houston Texans organization looks really, really bad. Deshaun Watson wants out, and the face of their franchise, the guy that they've lifted up, and when they did the HBO Hard Knocks documentary, it's look at J.J. Watt's there before anybody gets there, and look at I do Captain America that routine. Now that guy wants out. That guy's ready to go somewhere else. So Houston, we have a problem, and it's your franchise.
Nice.
Well, I think it's Brady. And let me explain why. And I was watching some guys talk about it. And the reason I'm on, and it's hard for me to put anybody above Michael, but Michael was always going to be the best player 4 out of 7 games. But the difference is, every time Tom Brady played a football game, it was a game 7. I never had thought about it like that. I mean, you think about that. Every football game in the playoffs is a game 7. Like, if Michael, he's going to win most series because he's going to be the best player 4 out of 7 games. But when you play in football, every single football game in the playoffs is a game 7.
Man, Charles Barkley, fresh off the Silhouette Challenge, says Tom Brady surpasses Michael Jordan as the greatest athlete of all time. And it goes to the fact that it's all about the Game 7 mentality, brother. Mike Bianchi, do you agree with Charles Barkley on this one?
Oh, I do. We've talked about this. Yeah, I think Tom Brady is the greatest GOAT of all time, not only because he has more championships than Michael Jordan, 7, but because it's harder in football because of the parity in the NFL and because of all the player movement in the NFL. It is much harder to stay on top in football than it is in the NBA. And Charles Barkley's right. I mean, in basketball, a player like Michael Jordan or LeBron, you put them on a team, and that team is going to be spectacular, all right? But you put if Tom Brady had gone to the Jaguars this past year instead of the Bucks, guess what? He would have stunk this year. But because he went to a team that was ready to win, and also Tom Brady's won championships with 2 different franchises. Michael Jordan only one.
Sound off. That's the sound off for today, which means that's right. We've got a pair of tickets to see the Orlando Magic take on the Detroit Pistons Sunday, February 21st. Sunday at the Amway Center, starting at 7 p.m. You can also listen to the game live on 96.9 The Game or 104.5 The Beat. Give us a call, 407-916-8255 for your chance at these tickets. 407-916-8255. Mike, tell the beautiful people about Nancy and what she does for them.
or Michael McDowell talk, then there probably would have been.
And Michael McDonald.
Yeah, Michael
It's
McDonald.
true.
We would have been taken into the streets for sure.
We are talking a lot about the UCF potential coaching hire of Gus Malzahn. It's been reported by my newspaper, the Orlando Sentinel, and 24/7 Sports that Gus Malzahn has been offered the UCF head coaching job. We do not know, though. It's unclear whether Malzahn will or has accepted the UCF coaching offer. Again, Malzahn was linked to the job as soon as UCF hired their new AD, Terry Mahajer, who worked with Malzahn at Arkansas State. I explained earlier that Malzahn was not hired by Terry Mahajer at Arkansas State. He was hired by the previous AD. The previous AD leaves, and Terry Mahajer takes over as the AD at Arkansas State. Gus Malzahn coaches the one season, leads Arkansas State to a conference championship. I think they won 10 wins, had 10 wins that year, and then he's off to coach the Auburn Tigers. And then that's when Terry Mahajer hires Brian Harsin, who would coach another 1 year, and he was off to Boise State. So, again, there is a background between Terry Mahajer and Gus Malzahn. And we've been talking about whether this is a good hire, whether this is a bad hire. I think it's a tremendous hire. Adam thinks it's a good hire. Austin gave it an incomplete. But we want to know what you think. You can go vote at 96.9 The Game. On Twitter, we have a bunch of polls up there. I got to tell you, just, again, when you look at what Gus Malzahn has done throughout his career, I mean, he was a legendary high school coach in Arkansas. He becomes one of the top play callers in college football as an offensive coordinator. He wins the national championship at Auburn with Cam Newton as the quarterback, and Gene Chizik was the head coach then. And then, what was it, 2 years later, Gene Chizik was fired after winning a national championship. Gus Malzahn comes in, and in his first year, I think it was his first year as the head coach at Auburn, that they went to the national championship game and lost to Florida State by 3 points? Was that his first year at Auburn? Did somebody Google that? I believe it was his first year at Auburn. He takes Auburn to the national championship game. It might have been his second, but I believe it was his first year at Auburn. So I think it would be a great hire for UCF. Again, I don't know if it's going to be the hire. I've been told that
It was
Terry
his first year.
It was his first year? Okay. I've been told that Terry Mahajer has interviewed at least 4 candidates, all right? And all of them have been offensive guys. All of them have been offensive guys. Jeff Lebby evidently has been interviewed. Gus Malzahn, we just mentioned. North Carolina offensive coordinator Phil Longo. And Kent State head coach Sean Lewis. From my understanding, all of those guys have been interviewed. Are there any of those guys on that list right there that you guys would rather have over Gus Malzahn? Because there's nobody on that list I would rather have. Because I know UCF fans, or at least a lot of them, want Jeff Lebby, but not me.
It's not just UCF fans, it's UCF players and former UCF players that are pushing for Jeff Lebby as well, which is the thing that is really in the forefront of my mind is the fact that he's got the backing of more than just Terry Mahajer. It's the UCF. I know that we give the UCF Twitter Mafia a hard time, but it's not just them this time. It's the players as well.
Yeah, good point. But you remember at Terry Mahajer's introductory news conference when he was talking about how he met with the players, and what was the quote? Let me see if I can find the quote. When I heard this quote, it made me think that Jeff Lebby wasn't going to be the top choice, all right? Let me see if I can find the quote. His quote was essentially when he was having a meeting with the players, when he first got hired last week. He said, listen, don't be married to one certain candidate. Remember that quote?
Yeah.
Don't be married to one certain candidate. To me, that was like, don't necessarily be married to Jeff Lebby here. All right? Because we may go in another direction. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe Gus Malzahn turns them down and they end up with Jeff Lebby anyway. So, but to me, that quote last week during his news conference was pretty telling. Pretty telling. That, yeah, we're going to listen to the players, but that doesn't mean that we're going to, that we're just going to hire who the players want us to hire. Or the fans, for that matter. Nor should they. Nor should they. Again.
Well,
no.
Okay.
No.
Hold on one second.
No. You don't hire who the fans tell you who to hire. No.
Yeah.
But if he's okay, I have a problem with that when it's. I agree with you when Florida State is saying we need to hire who was the guy? Bobby Bowden was. What Bowden was up was were all the fans saying, "Hey, we need to hire that guy."
There was no Bowden.
No, but they were saying. I'm trying to remember when they eventually hired Mike Norvell.
You talking about when? You talking about after Willie Taggart?
After Willie Taggart, who were all the candidates that Florida State fans were like, we're going to get so and so, we're going to get so and so. Those were non-existent, not a chance in hell at all were going to happen. Jeff Lebby was interviewed for this job. That's a totally different situation.
Okay, but why does that mean he should get it?
Because there are more people vying for him. Like I don't know how
How many other
else to
jobs?
describe
How many
it.
other head coaching jobs has Jeff Lebby interviewed for?
Yeah, again, I don't know how many people are vying for him. I don't know that. I mean, UCF fans are the only ones I know that are jonesing for Jeff Lebby. I mean, I would think more people would be vying for Gus Malzahn than Jeff Lebby. Now, UCF fans, they like him because, again, he was here under Josh Heupel. They think it would be a smoother transition as far as Dylan Gabriel and the offense. I think that's their thinking. But, again, I go back to what has Jeff Lebby ever done as an offensive coordinator?
Yeah,
what has he ever done?
When was the last time he stood on his own? When was the last time you could look at what Jeff Lebby's done and what he would attach his name to and go, yeah, that was all you? Because as you mentioned, all the coaches he worked for, Bryles called the plays.
But UCF isn't a place that
called the plays.
UCF isn't like one of these blue blood programs where you have to have this amazing resume to be a coach there. Listen, UCF is great, and it's is the upper echelon of the non-Power 5 schools. But to the same point, it's still not that program where it's okay to hire an up-and-comer.
No. I think it's still okay to hire an up-and-comer, but I don't think it. I think it's elevated itself to where you don't have to take sort of a flyer on a guy that people don't know much about. And the truth is, with Jeff Lebby, because he's worked for all offensive guys who have had their hands in the kitchen, probably more so than him when it comes to play calling, it's kind of an unknown. I would more, if I'm going with an assistant coach, look at what Coach Longo over at North Carolina, right? He's the offensive coordinator for the Tar. Look at what their offense has done. Look at the production of Sam Howell over the last 2 years. And let me tell you who's not calling the plays there. Mac Brown ain't calling the plays at North Carolina.
Jeff Lebby this year, I believe for the first time, did call the plays at Ole Miss. But again, Lane Kiffin is the head coach. Don't tell me Lane Kiffin didn't have a lot of input on the play calling at Ole Miss. I mean, Lane Kiffin's one of the great play callers out there. So, again, I just don't know that Jeff Lebby has done enough. Josh Heupel, when he was hired, hell, he'd been an offensive coordinator and called the plays at Oklahoma, even though Bob Stoops fired him. Shouldn't have fired him, but he did. Then he goes to Missouri, and he turns Missouri's offense around in the big bad SEC calling plays. Josh Heupel had called plays before, extensively. Jeff Lebby has not, all right? Real quick, I'm looking for this quote from the Terry Mahajer about. Oh, here's what it said. Here's what he said. I really had a good meeting with the football team's leadership committee, and I told them, don't limit your thinking to one particular candidate. Instead of being married to a certain type of coach, whether it's offense or defense, we have to find the right fit. Doesn't that make it sound like he's telling the UCF players, don't marry yourself to Jeff Lebby?
Initially, I think we thought it meant, hey, this doesn't necessarily mean we're going to go with an offensive guy. Since my track record is that, don't get married to that idea. But turns out all the guys you've mentioned are offensive guys. So, yeah, you're right. He probably was talking about Jeff Lebby. We're definitely going offensive, but it may not be the offensive guys you guys want. Here, UCF fans just have a familiarity with Jeff Lebby. He's attached to recent success. Listen, it's the Larry Coker effect. All right, you're hey, this guy's been a part of the program. We've had success with him. Let's just hand him the keys to the car. I can tell you how that works after about year 3, if you'd like to hear that story.
Yeah. All right, straight ahead, the lead singer of the Doobie Brothers wins the Daytona 500. What? That's next on Open Mic.
96.
The 63rd Daytona 500 is underway. Oh, no. Almirola Bowman.
Oh, the 24's on his side. Remember what I said? Played about 21 cars. I don't know if we got there, but man, that took out a lot of race cars and a lot of great race cars in there.
I know Eric Almirola was one of the front ones up front, so anytime that happens up front, you're going to take out a lot of them.
Will Dillon have help? No, they come down to block. Logano goes back up. Keselowski with him. McDowell in tow. Dillon on the bottom.
The run's on top. Oh, teammates.
Around they go in a hard crash. Kyle Busch.
Larson.
Caution is out.
Bubba Wallace is in this. Austin Cindric. Hard hit by Kyle Busch. Caution's out.
McDowell is first to the line, but will have to go back to the moment of caution, which ends the race.
I think McDowell's the winner of this race, guys.
He was first across the line.
Michael McDowell never had won a race in his life. I'm talking about a cup race. He'd been in 358 of them. And his first win, 14 years in the making, was at the Daytona 500, the great American race. You heard Joey Logano was the leader on that last lap. His teammate Brad Keselowski was on his tail, and Michael McDowell smartly was right on Brad Keselowski's tail. He said he knew Keselowski was going to try to do something to win it, and he was just waiting for Keselowski to make his move. And what does Keselowski do? He attempted to dart around Joey Logano. Logano tries to throw the block. They hit, they crash each other, and Michael McDowell says, whoa, the Red Sea has just parted, and Michael McDowell puts the pedal to the metal, drives through the crash scene for the stunning upset. And again, what an underdog story. And we were talking Friday about, well, what about all the great storylines in this race? Which potential storyline would you like to see? And what were some of them we came up with? Bubba McDowell, obviously, or Bubba Wallace driving for Michael Jordan. I think that was the number one storyline we agreed upon. But we also had like Ryan Newman winning the race a year after his death-defying crash. What were the others?
Kyle Busch finally winning there.
Kyle Busch finally win. Denny Hamlin in the three-peat. Yeah, and why didn't we have Michael McDowell winning his first race in 358 trials? Why wasn't that one of our storylines?
If there's a sport that doesn't need the Cinderella story at this moment, instead they need stars. It's NASCAR. Because NASCAR, because the question was, what would be best for NASCAR? This would be in the conversation. What would be the worst thing for NASCAR? Michael McDowell winning in a race in which as I'm listening to Jeff Gordon, didn't even sound like they knew he had won the race until later on. You know?
Yeah, I had to go back and see when the actual caution came out and whoever was leading at that point wins the race. Yeah, and here's the other thing. Well, we'll get into this.
And it also happened at after midnight
12:15 in the morning. Yeah. All right, let's pause for station identification.
WYGM Orlando, WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach, FM 96.9 The Game, the home of Orlando City Soccer Club.
You feel that?
Oh, I can feel it.
We're about to blast off.
Just hook it to my veins!
It's time for the blast.
That's right, it is time for the blast here on Open Mic, and the blast is brought to you by Frank Gay Services. If you need an electrician or a plumber and you need them right now, go to frankgayservices.com. They will help you out. frankgayservices.com. We start off with
Frank Gay, let me just say this. Frank Gay cannot be stopped.
That is correct. It's the Frank Gay way, frankgayservices.com. Yeah. It's the Open Mic thought-provoking daily poll to start things. Is there a Daytona 500 poll?
Absolutely.
We'll
there is.
start with that one.
Yeah.
The supplemental poll number 3. Did you stay up and watch the Daytona 500, which was delayed for 5.5 hours and didn't end until well past midnight? Yes or no? Mike, we know your answer.
Well, yeah, I had to stay up, all right, because I was covering it for the Orlando Sentinel. You can read my column, by the way, at orlandosentinel.com.
Cheap plug.
There you have it. No, and this is a real problem for NASCAR. This is their signature event, all right? This is their Super Bowl. Could you imagine if the Super Bowl last weekend had started and then they had a 5.5 hour delay to finish the game? I mean, good Lord. Last year's Daytona 500 rained during the Daytona 500. They had to call it off until Monday, all right? When you have your signature event, all right, and this happens all the time in NASCAR, not just with the Daytona 500, but a lot of races, they're rained out, they're postponed to the next day. NASCAR has to do something, and I realize you can't have domed racetracks, all right, but they have to have some sort of flexible scheduling or something to, all right, we're looking at the radar, we're looking at the Doppler, all right? We can see the rain is going to start at 2 o'clock, and it's going to rain all afternoon. Start the race at 11, get it in, and then replay it starting at 3 o'clock or whatever you have to do. They need to do something because this is just killing NASCAR.
Yeah, I don't know what Fox had scheduled at like 11 a.m. who paid their time to be there, who has sponsored pay to be. It's like, sorry, get out of the way. NASCAR wants to start their race early. I don't know that they could do that either.
I'm sure they didn't have any big time sponsorship things at 11 a.m.
I don't know if it's that easy. NASCAR's got a problem, no question. As far as people staying up for it, I think the demographics for NASCAR probably skew a smidge older, and those folks like to go to bed at like 9:30. So the answer is hell no, they didn't stay up to watch this.
87% of the vote says no, I did not stay up for this. Let's go to the thought-provoking.
Of course, Adam Reardon. It could have been over at 8 p.m. and Adam Reardon wasn't going to be up for it.
That's true. This is true. You were asking, like, what if the Super Bowl was delayed until... Like, no, that I stayed up for. It's the Super Bowl. You know, the Super Bowl of motorsports? No. Super Bowl? Yes.
The thought-provoking daily poll today. If former Auburn coach Gus Malzahn accepts the offer to be the next coach at UCF, how would you rate the hire? Is it tremendous? Is it good? Is it okay? Or is it terrible?
Tremendous. Gus Malzahn? Are you kidding me? If UCF could get Gus Malzahn, if he actually accepts this job, the guy was 68-35 in the SEC. That was his overall record. His SEC record was 39-27. He won a national title as an offensive coordinator at Auburn. He almost won a national title as the head coach at Auburn. Got to the final game, barely lost to FSU in the final minutes of the game. The guy's known as one of the great play callers in college football. UCF should thank their lucky stars if Gus Malzahn decides to accept this job.
Yeah, I think it's a good hire. I think it would be a good hire as somebody that, you know, is familiar with college football as a head coach.
You're not going tremendous?
No.
Okay. Who would be tremendous for UCF that UCF could get?
I mean, I guess of the options, I guess he's tremendous. But it's hard to call somebody tremendous who got fired, you know what I mean? Because it means he just wasn't good enough somewhere else. So that's hard for me. That's hard for me. But I'll go with good, skewing towards really good. Okay, I'm gonna go good, probably really good, and especially when you look at some of the other options. Again, I like the fact that he's recruited the state of Florida well, has ties to recruiting here. You know, is an experienced head coach at the highest level. Really, I mean, the only thing not to like is that he was fired at Auburn, and he's not who the fans or some of the offensive players want. That's it.
With 41% of the vote, good wins this one, followed at 27% with just okay.
Yeah.
Supplemental poll number 1, is Urban Meyer or owner Shad Khan more to blame for the fiasco of the Jaguars hiring accused racist strength coach Chris Doyle and then being forced to part ways with Doyle a mere 24 hours later? Who is to blame, Urban Meyer or Shad Khan?
I'm going to go with, as much as I would love to blame Urban Meyer more, and again, he's the head coach, he's the guy who wanted to hire Chris Doyle, but Shad Khan just not a year ago, had to fire Tom Coughlin because he gave Tom Coughlin all of this power. Tom Coughlin abused that power. Shad Khan had to fire him. It was embarrassing to the franchise. And then what's he do? He brings in Urban Meyer, and Urban Meyer, weeks into the job, makes the most racially charged hire you could possibly make in hiring Chris Doyle right after Shad Khan had come out with this, big Black Lives Matter statement. We believe in Black Lives Matter. We believe racism is bad and all of this. And then Shad Khan okays this hire? I blame the owner. It all starts with the owner.
If I go to a fast food restaurant and they mess up my order, they screw something up, or one of their employees is really nasty to me, I blame the people right then and there, okay? The manager there on duty. I don't blame... If I get bad service at McDonald's, I'm not mad at Ray Kroc, okay? I'm mad at the people that are there. So I'm going to sort of say that Shad Khan is so far away from that business, he's hired guys to run it. Now, when they make a mistake, he's obviously addressed it at this point, and the guy is no longer going to be a part of this football program. Maybe he needs to keep a closer eye on some of his employees that he's hired. Maybe go through some sort of new sensitivity training or something like that, or get his employees to do that. So in this moment, I'm going to blame Urban, because I know how Urban can be. I've been around Urban for long periods of time in Gainesville when, it was what I say goes, and there's nobody to answer to. Even people above me weren't really above me because I was the college football coach in a college football town. Things are a little bit different now, and I think that knowing what we know now, Shad Khan probably better keep a little shorter leash on Urban Meyer and what he does and what he says.
89% of the vote says Urban Meyer is to blame.
You know what? I'm changing my vote. I'm blaming Urban Meyer too.
There you go. That's right. Join the Urban Meyer hate train, Mike.
I started.
I was about to say, Mike was the one who's like, all aboard!
Supplemental poll number 2. Should Jaguars fans now be worried about the overall judgment of Urban Meyer, or will the Chris Doyle debacle turn out to be just a blip on the radar? Is it time to worry or relax? It's just a blip.
No, I don't think it's. I mean, was this bad judgment? Yes, it was arrogant judgment. It was foolish judgment. It was a bad hire, no matter how you look at it. But I do think this will blow over in a couple of weeks, and the Jaguars will draft Trevor Lawrence, and they'll get all their draft picks. And if Urban Meyer wins, which I think he will, it'll be a blip on the radar. So yeah, I think this will blow over.
Yeah, blip on the radar until the next thing, and then this will be piled on top of it. That people will mention what he did later on.
Sort of like those arrests that accrued at the University of Florida.
Yeah, this is not the first time that he's sort of like Dan Mullen. When Dan Mullen make a stupid comment, it wasn't just that once. Then everybody would go, remember like 2 months ago when he made this other one, and then a month and a half before that, it was they'll continue to compound on each other.
Let's see. Did I say the results? No, I didn't. It's right here. 61% of the vote says, relax, it's just a blip. Supplemental poll number 4. We got to buzz through these because we're getting up close to a break. In the wake of the twin centers, Marquise Pouncey and Mike Pouncey, announcing their retirement over the weekend, will you remember them more for being great players with the Gators and in the NFL, or for publicly defending Aaron Hernandez?
I'll never get over that. And again, they were great players for the Gators. They were great players in the NFL with the Dolphins and the Steelers and all of that. But those guys didn't just, quietly, tell Aaron Hernandez, hey, you need anything from us? They were teammates of Florida. No, these guys put on hats that said free Aaron Hernandez when he was in the middle of a murder trial, all right? So I'm always going to remember them for that, and I lost a lot of respect for those guys when they put on those free Aaron Hernandez hats. I don't care if he was your college roommate or teammate or not. This guy was murdering people, and you were saying free him. No, I can't get over that.
As silly as that behavior was, I mean, I congratulate their loyalty, but I would have been like Mike, just quietly. Do you need anything? There'll always be, two of the best football players that have come out of Florida to play in the NFL ever.
With 67% of the vote, Great Gators wins this one. And finally, the open mic Would You Rather poll in honor of myself at Radio Guy Austin on Twitter and Instagram. My new fashion choice: would you rather wear suspenders or wear a belt?
Ideally, you know what, Austin? I'm going to commend you on your new fashion attire, your suspenders,
Thank
because
you.
I used to have a pair of red and black striped suspenders, and I would wear those when I was single. I would wear those out sometimes, and
chick
the
magnet.
the ladies loved my red and black suspenders, and maybe I'll go back to the suspenders.
Telling
look
you,
now that I
man.
think of, huh?
Suspenders are the way to go here.
I'm going suspenders on this.
Yeah.
Only two people should wear suspenders ever under any circumstances. One is Santa Claus, and two lumberjacks out there. Other than that,
didn't Mr. Rogers, didn't he wear
No, he wore a little cardigan,
that's
multiple pairs of shoes, one for outside, one for inside. Yeah, no, those two people. Unless you're Santa Claus or a lumberjack,
I got to buy myself an axe now.
that's an
apparently.
axe
Yeah.
and a flannel shirt.
Yeah,
you're good to go.
You act like I don't already have a flannel shirt.
I'd imagine.
86% of the vote says belts, but they're wrong. They need to get on the suspender train.
All right, taking your calls, game balls and goop balls. You want to talk about Gus Malzahn? You want to talk about Urban Meyer? Give us a call, 407-916-8255. Taking your calls next on Open Mic.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword, Bills.
Give us a call if you want to talk some sports with us. You want to talk about Gus Malzahn perhaps becoming the next head coach at UCF. Give us a call, 407-916-8255. You want to talk about Urban Meyer being an arrogant fool. Give us a call, 407-916-8255. If you want to talk about the lead singer of the Doobie Brothers, Michael McDowell, winning the Daytona 500, give us a call, 407-916-8255. While we wait for these calls to start pouring in, tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, is when my fast begins. 7-day fast I'm going on. All right? 7 days, nothing but water, black coffee, bouillon broth. All right? That bouillon broth is the extent of that's the thing I get to look forward to. The bouillon broth. Not even bone broth, all right?
What's the goal here?
The goal is to fast, cleanse the system, get rid of the toxins, maybe drop a couple of pounds in the process, although I don't really need to drop any weight, but that will be a side benefit, all right? And again, and here's the thing. My daughter wanted to do a fast, so I'm doing it with her. So being the good dad, all right? Being the good dad. Like, what do we talk about? Like, instead of doing TikTok dances with my daughter on TikTok,
I starve
fasting.
for my children.
Yes.
No, he's doing something that he wouldn't normally do for his child.
No.
Mike, I can totally relate because this weekend, my youngest daughter loves animals, and so we were in Tampa, and unbeknownst to her, I looked up some horse riding event thing, or just, and I went horseback riding this weekend with her, which is something I would never do.
John Wayne,
man, let me tell you this, okay? I'm hurt right now.
Your booty hurt?
My backside hurts. The insides of my legs, because when the horse would first start running, and we did one, they weren't just walking you around. I said, well, she's probably gonna like the cantering part, the actual running.
Get a little pace behind us.
And
Adam was holding on to that saddle horn, buddy.
I look like the basketball, underneath the skilled palms of Curly Neal. I was bouncing all over the place. It was terrible. It was horrible.
Holding on to that saddle horn?
No, I was holding on to the reins, and I was bouncing so violently. My back hurts today. My legs hurt. The inside of my legs are bruised from where the guy said, hey, listen, the way you don't bounce around is you got to squeeze real tight with your knees.
Yeah, you got to squeeze those,
I didn't know.
Everybody knows that.
Oh, yeah, duh.
Obviously.
I had no idea, but apparently I was squeezing, and there was enough friction there where now the inside of my knees hurt, my backside hurts, my back actually hurts. But these are the things we do for our daughters.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And would I do it again? Only if she begged me. I try to find every excuse not to. I'm like, you sure you don't like anything else besides that? You sure you don't like fishing? Can we go fishing?
The hardest part of the fast, though, for me is going to be not having a beer or two when I get done working. At the end of the day, maybe a little, or as Adam Reardon likes to have, a little vodka and Red Bull. Yeah, that's going to be the hardest part of the
day, man.
I had 2.5 the other night, and it was like a Friday night or something.
Yeah,
and at 2 a.m, I woke up because I could hear my heart beating in my ears. And I was like, ooh, I need to maybe need to cut back on it. I swear to God, I woke up and I was like, I could hear it thumping in my eardrum, boom, 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 boom. And I was like, ooh. And so I was up the rest of the night, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to do one with dinner from this point forward.
I sent you guys a tweet on Friday on, taking shots of tequila.
Yeah, did you see that? He sends a tweet of him, drinking a shot. What was that, tequila?
Oh, yeah, brother. Taking shots of tequila with my wife for Valentine's Day weekend.
I refused to like it, just on the premise that it was tequila.
The young alcoholic, Austin.
Well, I hope to be an experienced alcoholic one day, Mike. You got to start them young.
Real quick, something I wanted to talk about here real quick. Oh, I am so happy about this. All right, I like watching NBA games, all right? But one thing that drives me crazy about the NBA and MLS, for that matter, is the flopping. The incessant flopping and faking and feigning injuries or fall. And soccer, it's even worse than the NBA. But did you see LeBron they actually got LeBron for flopping because LeBron flops like nobody, okay? And they actually whistled LeBron and warned LeBron for flopping the other night when the Lakers were playing the Memphis Grizzlies. I wish players would get like technical fouls for flopping. I hate it.
What?
Well, I'll say this in 2 points. One, LeBron probably flops because there's probably a billion fouls they don't call when he actually gets fouled, so he's trying to draw some of those.
Gonna defend LeBron.
Yeah, okay, but and then I will say that one of the things that, listen, we love having Luka Doncic here, the European players coming over and adding to, the skill level of the NBA is great, the Dirk Nowitzkis. The one thing they brought with them from Europe is that soccer, like, hey, Vlade Divac was the original flopper, I believe.
Yeah.
Did anybody flop before he got to the league? Was there a guy that was known for that? Because then the other guys even started picking up going, wait a minute, I can draw fouls on these guys just by throwing myself to the ground with a little bit of contact?
And would you agree that soccer is much worse?
Well, yeah, because, I mean, in soccer, in certain cultures, they really do coach that up. They say, listen, if you're around the box and you feel a little contact, go to the ground. Heck, I'll be honest, I'm a soccer coach. I've told girls, like, hey, listen, if you feel like you're being fat, don't hold yourself up because some referees are they're going to let you play if you can play. Don't be afraid to, like, just kind of, not regain your balance there. Go ahead and hit the ground, will you?
My buddy Jeffrey, who's the leader of the house band, he just sent me, I think he's joking because I did this at one point. You guys ever heard of the cabbage soup diet?
No way.
Oh no, that sounds bad.
Yeah. Where for like all you eat for like a week or two is cabbage soup. All right, I did this one time, and I never got so sick of cabbage soup in my life.
Mike, you got to try Penn Jillette, the magician.
Yeah.
He did a potato diet. So he took 2 weeks, and all he ate were potatoes. No salt, no butter, nothing. You could have as many potatoes as you want, right? Okay. And it retrained his brain so the first time he took a bite of corn on the cob afterward, it tasted like candy to him. So that's how you get healthy, is you retrain your taste buds to not crave the fats and the salts, and you just go with straight good old-fashioned vegetables.
There you have it. Yeah, okay. All right, straight ahead,